So my name is Andy. I am the leader of the Next Gen team in Wigan. So I work for the Anglican Church in the Deanery of Wigan, and I also head up a discipleship school. But before that, I was a youth worker. I worked with Ben, survived working with Ben for a year here at Blackburn Diocese as well. So I've got the privilege of talking about connecting with young people. What does it mean to build relationship with them? And then move that, and this is the key, move that into topics of like discipleship, of faith, and how do we do that well? Well, my life was changed when I was studying at Cliff College, the Bible college there, and we were on a mission trip in Stoke. And I saw a guy called Piers Lane, who was the sort of evangelist for Cliff College at the time. He was just going up to people on this mission trip and just chatting to them, having these deep conversations, people he like never met before, and he was just getting into these conversations. And at the time, I was like this kind of very introverted, quite like awkward sort of 18-year-old, 19-year-old, and I just was like, how on earth is he doing that? So I went up to him and asked him the question, how do you just go and chat to these people? And he said, if you go with an agenda, they're going to see right through it. But if you take a genuine interest in their life, then that's the key. People will respond to that. And I say that my life changed because I started to do that, and it has affected my youth work so much, is that actually just taking that genuine interest in people is kind of the key that unlocks the door. That there's no like specific question to ask. It's not about being really interesting as a person or relating to youth culture and like knowing all the TikTok trends and all of that. Actually, it's about just taking a genuine interest in people's lives. And in Romans 12, verse 9, it starts by saying, let love be sincere. Let love be sincere. And that is just like the first and foremost key to building relationship with young people. That sometimes we think we've got to be the coolest young youth leader going, or we've got to understand everything. But actually, if we just take the time to take a genuine interest in their life, then we're doing something right. Young people, when they feel heard and understood, that's when they feel loved, and that's when they feel a connection. I think it's interesting how sometimes we can go with our agendas. I'm reminded of a story of a theologian who went to a university debate and kind of absolutely wiped the floor with his opponent, did really well, but as he was coming out of the lecture, he heard someone saying, "Wow, he might have made some good points, but I don't like him. I don't want to follow what he's following." And actually, there's a tendency sometimes when we come to talking about faith, that if we don't put the time in, show that we care, that actually we will start. I'm just reminded. I think I was at some training the other day, and there's a big thing that a good few years ago we had the big question of is this true? That people were asking a question of, is Christianity true? We then moved to, in recent years, a thing of, will this work? So does Christianity work here and now for me? And I think we're moving into another era of the question being, who is saying this? Who is actually saying this to me? And I think that's what I'm kind of reminded by that with this story of this theologian, is actually, do people care about what we have to say? Are we listening first and showing that we care about our young people? Because actually who we are to these young people really matters. And that doesn't mean that we have to be perfect. It just means that we have to show our own flaws and be authentic with them, but show that we care about our young people. And the first port of call for that is knowing that we are loved from God and that everything flows from that. So I think the best way to start kind of getting into these discussions about faith with young people is from the place of personal relationship with young people, from either the team that we have or ourselves. But also I think there's a lot of things we can do as a group that kind of builds community and builds a foundation for having these really good conversations. So when I was first a youth worker in Bradford, I went into my first kind of topic, and I kind of sat down and went, I have to decide what I'm doing now. No one's got a curriculum for me. And I kind of went, let's do spiritual disciplines. Let's go straight in and do like this really meaty stuff. And a few months later, I really regretted doing that, because I was like, actually, this really deep stuff that needed some time for actually the group to kind of mature and get to know each other a bit. It needs some time for the icebreakers to happen, where we actually built relationship before we got to the deep and meaningful stuff. And what I have found is that often we'll think about icebreakers in the sense of, right, we're all going to go around and do our name and something we like, and we kind of rush through that period of, we're just going to do an activity. But actually, we might have a whole term of needing to sort of break the ice, of needing to get to know each other. That doesn't mean that you just do like introduction games and rhyming your people's names with stuff. But what it means is actually, let's think about the year that we have. If we've got year 7s coming into our group, if we've got new people joining, do we need a period where we just spend some time getting to know each other? We can do faith stuff, we can open the Bible, we can pray together, but how does the thinking of let's build community feed into every part of our session, not just the awkward little moment at the beginning? So I think this is really crucial for spiritual growth. I think there's then a thing about belonging. People really belonging to a group. So they come in, they might feel awkward, they might, like, you do your icebreaker stuff, you try and get to know them, but there's a transition to a sense of belonging, and it's been said that people belong, then believe, and then behave. So you don't try and tackle them in the right order. And what I've found very, very helpful for belonging is for sense of belonging is participation. So can you get your young people to buy into the group by serving in some way? That's a really good way of doing things, as long as we don't overdo it, because we still need to be there for our young people. But also I think the idea of rituals, and not in the sense of, we're going to get a goat in and start doing anything weird with that. But what we're going to do is actually we're going to set up things that are identifiers for our group. So it might be that every time you come in, I'm going to ask you what your favourite meal was from the week you've just had. Or it might be that when you come in, or there's like I went to one group in Durham, I think it was, where they had an initiation where they'd like throw water balloons at you or something. I don't know, it was weird. But it was something that I don't recommend doing that. It was probably not the best thing. But there was just these things, these little rituals that had like gave a group identity. Whether it's like, we're going to pray for you because we really believe in that, so we're going to do that every single week. Think about what are those little things that kind of give your group an identity, so people can feel that sense of belonging. And the main thing with this is to prioritize family over the program that you have. You want that family feel. And out of that, we can have these amazing conversations about faith with our young people. We can start to start to introduce them to the gospel. And I think just on that, there's a couple of things to think about. First of all, we have to set the groundwork and be aware of the time that we're in, that we've kind of gone through a stage of, most people would know some Bible stories, most people would believe in a God, and then we've kind of come away from that, so now there's like, well, does God exist? We've got to tackle that question. Now we're in a place of like, is there even truth? Is truth a thing that we can talk about? So there's some groundwork stuff that we may need to put in place. There's some explanation. We can't assume that our young people know Bible stories anymore. And I want to say that in bringing people in and having people have a sense of belonging and a sense of safety, that there's a lot of explanation that we need to do. And what I always say with that is people will engage with a story better than with a concept. And it's much easier to have people engage with a story from the Bible than an abstract verse about like love or the Trinity or something. Secondly, I think there's a place, a real intentional place for invitation in our youth groups, that we need to invite people to become Christians, first of all, and to join in with the discipleship stuff that we can be doing. And finally, to encourage discipleship that flows out of our own discipleship. And I don't want to go over, so I will just finish with saying that I've found that building relationships with young people is a learnable skill. It's not a personality trait. And through experience and research, you can learn this. It's uncomfortable, and we just got to accept that we're going to be uncomfortable so they don't feel uncomfortable. And finally, that if we persist in trying to show love to our young people, even if it feels like we're hitting a brick wall, then eventually we will see fruit from that. Thank you.